Hi everybody, and welcome to Lost Genre Legal Advice, a place you've known that regardless of the drama, focuses on the legal aspects of things that you can learn. So let's not waste any time and get started with the first story. This one is from user PleaseHelp45283. I have a daughter, 13, with an ex who was not in her life. We were young, in our early 20s, when she was born. My ex wasn't ready to give up her life and be a mom yet, so I assumed full custody. She had another child when our daughter was 9 and never spoke to our daughter again, or really acknowledged her. I married as well, and my wife has been an amazing stepmom to my daughter. My daughter was diagnosed with cancer in 2016. I made sure to let my ex know, of course, and sent periodic updates. She didn't visit or call, and basically things went on as normal. In December 2019, it became apparent that her fight was drawing to a close and there was nothing anyone could do. I sent the following email. Ex, I want to let you know that we got the results of dear daughter's scan today. The cancer has spread significantly with several new growths and no change to the old sites. At this time, doctors are advising that treatment is unlikely to be successful and we would be better off providing her with comfort care instead. She will be a lot more comfortable and be allowed to go home, which she really wants. My wife, the doctors, and I have all talked to her as well as Child Life. She has agreed that it's time to come home. She's being discharged tomorrow to hospice at home. As always, she would love to hear from you. She replied to that email a short time later with, "Thank you for the update." She didn't call or reach out to our daughter at all. After coming home from the hospital, my daughter asked me to mail a letter and send an email she'd written to her mother. I don't know what the letter or email said, but I know that neither one was replied to. In January, our daughter passed away. I sent the following emails. Ex, I wish I didn't have to write this email. Our sweet dear daughter passed away in her sleep. It was very peaceful. I will send another email with funeral details. Don't hesitate to reach out if you need anything. And then the one about the funeral. I had to redact most of that one because it was full of personal information, but this is the important part. Ex, in addition, we have decided on cremation. Please let me know if you would like any of her ashes. I can even get them made into jewelry or put in an urn and have it shipped if that's easier for you. She replied to that one thanking me and telling me she would rather not have the ashes and that I could do what I liked with them. We did. We gave some to my mother, had some turned into jewelry for my wife and 3 younger girls. I kept some and we buried some in a few of her favorite places. At this point, the only ashes that physically exist are mine, my mother's, and my wife and daughter's. Fast forward to the end of February, and I get an email from her stating that she'd had a change of heart and asking if she could have some of our daughter's ashes. I told her that unfortunately we didn't have any left, but that my wife offered to send her the necklace she had made. She declined and did seem a little offended that we'd offered, but it was all we had to give. A few days ago, I received notice that she was suing me for emotional damages for failing to offer her our shared child's remains and offering a used necklace and some other nonsense. I'm going to be honest, I feel like the only person who is being emotionally damaged here is me. I'm dealing with a huge, devastating loss of my first child, my best buddy, my constant companion, while also dealing with the stress of the lockdown, 2 young kids who don't understand, and a brand new baby. I feel like I've been nothing but nice and communicative to her, and this is what I get for it? I'm angry, I'm tired, and I'm frustrated. Realistically, I don't have the emotional energy to fight it, and I'm seriously considering throwing some money at it and hoping it goes away. Is that the best solution? Poor guy, with everything he's gone through, with his daughter's sickness and now grieving his daughter, and on top of that, his ex, who said no, is now suing him for emotional damages? That sucks. That ex sucks. But that's not what we're here for, so let's go take a look at the legal advice from the community. Chris M0678 says, absolutely do not throw money at her. Retain an attorney to defend you in court. Stand up for yourself, man. You're an incredibly caring individual, but it's time for some self-care. If she contacts you again, pass along your lawyer's info, and be done with her forever. Solid. Milo and Elvis says, don't give her any money. It doesn't seem like she has a leg to stand on. From what you said, you offered her ashes in writing, right? If that's the case, back up those emails, print out copies, save them in multiple places, and then all you have to really do is sit back and wait to be served. If that happens, get a lawyer, give him the emails, and wait for your ex to be shut down. And then Jade Rust says, let her take you to court. The vast majority of people who threaten to sue rarely file, and if she does file, you have proof in writing that you offered and she refuses the ashes. She essentially hasn't a leg to stand on. Hiring an attorney to represent you for a day would probably be cheaper than paying her off. Plus, you get the added benefit of hearing the judge tell her that she's a moron in the most polite legal way. If she actually serves you, hire an attorney and respond, and from now on, keep communication in writing only. If she attempts to call you, don't answer and absolutely do not call her. And that's what's awesome about this community. Really cold thinking about what the options are. So yeah, like they say, the ex has no leg to stand on because he did offer and now she's suing for exactly that, so she will get shut down. And I hope that she does and also gets stuck with the legal fees. To be honest, in my opinion, I feel like the ex is trying to capitalize a little bit on this. See if she can actually get some money, which I found disturbing. The fact that she used to have a daughter who she never contacted at all, and now she's trying to sue her ex to see if she can get some money for emotional damage? What about the daughter's emotional damage of sending out emails or trying to actually talk to her mom and her mom never ever replying? That's gotta be heartbreaking. So I hope that ex gets squat. What do you guys think? What's the ex's game here? Okay, let's continue now to the next post. The next post is from user deleted. Me and this guy were together for 3 years. We're 19 now. We never talked about the future until a year in. Before then, I tried to discuss it and he would change the subject. In short, I wanted kids, he didn't. I wanted to stay in Ireland, he didn't. I wanted to get married, he didn't. When I realized it was a bad match, I broke it off. But he asked to get back together, saying we were too young to worry about the future, and we got back together. This happened a few times over the next 18 months, and in this time, we probably spent more time apart than together. We knew early on that we wanted different things, and while marriage and kids are something I would want further down the line, I wasn't concerned about his open dislike of marriage and kids because 19 is too young to get married anyway. And if I were dating him 10 or 15 years from now and he didn't want to get married, then I might have an issue. But when I'm barely out of my teens, it's not a huge concern. Just loving him and wanting to be with him is enough. When I went to see him this time, I was, again, considering breaking up with him. Aside from the long-term issues, he is also inconsiderate and has a mean streak that I really don't like. So when I arrived at his place mentally debating breaking up with him for good this time, he told me he wanted to take me out to dinner. I assumed he wanted to break up too, publicly, so I wouldn't cause a scene. I don't normally cause a scene, but being in public tends to prevent yelling, and we both yell every time we break up. In the last year, he asked me 2 things that looking back now stand out to me. First, he asked about jewelry, what kind of stuff I like, and what my taste was. I assumed it was because my birthday was coming up and he was getting me a bracelet or something, so I told him simple and delicate, silver or steel rather than gold. If there was a color, then blue, nothing flashy or expensive, just my personal preference. I also said go cheap. The other thing he asked me was how I felt about public proposals. I told him immediately that I personally disliked them as I felt I wouldn't be able to say no even if I wanted to. I feel like public proposals are okay when they've been specifically requested and agreed on, but one that's totally out of the blue is not okay at all. I assumed he was asking about this because his friend had just proposed to his girlfriend of several years publicly, and she'd accepted, but admitted to him after that she would have preferred something private. I never thought in a million years that he would propose. So you can imagine my shock when we went to dinner and the first thing he did was propose. The ring was huge, gold, gaudy, red gems around a diamond, and the whole thing was the size and shape of a Super Bowl ring. He got on one knee and held it out to me. We were in the middle of this popular restaurant and the place was packed. Everyone there could see what was going on and wasn't even trying to hide that they were looking at us. I said no. Well, I didn't as much say no, I ran out of the restaurant. He drove me there, so I got a cab back and drove home that night. I realized running out wasn't the best thing to do, but I didn't know what else to do. I could feel everyone's eyes on me, and all I knew was that I didn't want to marry him or accept his proposal. I felt like I couldn't even speak. I was so upset about the whole thing, so I just got up and ran. I just wanted to take the opportunity to say here that I really don't care about the rings. Honestly, when I want to get married, which is absolutely not when I'm 19 years old, the right person could just turn to me and say, "Wanna get married?" And I'd say yes. I wouldn't even need a ring. I know I'm focusing on the ring and the public proposal a lot, but that's only because of 1, how far away it was from what I told him my taste was, and what happened next. I didn't hear from him until a few weeks later. He said he thought a proposal was something I'd want, but he saw now that it wasn't. He said that he was out of pocket for the rings. He'd bought us both the same one and gotten them engraved. He linked me to the jewelry's website and the ring was up for 1,450 euros, about $1,600 or 1,300 pounds. When I asked him why he was telling me this, he said that he'd hoped I could cover the cost of mine. He said that as they'd been engraved, he couldn't get a refund. He'd hoped that I would say yes to the proposal, in which case he wouldn't have asked me to pay, but I said no. He also said I'd embarrassed him by saying no in public and should have said yes. And if I was really against it, waited to say no when we were alone. We both live in small towns where gossip spreads at church. Enough people were at the restaurant that night that both of us got asked about it at church on Sunday. He has since messaged me saying he's debating calling in a lawyer to sue me for the cost of my ring, 1,450 euros, and he also says that I've caused him emotional distress by turning him down in public, and have publicly humiliated him for both rejecting his proposal in public and leaving him to deal with church gossip, which I had no part in spreading. He says he can also get some money off me over those other two things. So 1,450 for what he spent on my ring and extra money for emotional distress and public humiliation. I think his legal claims are BS and he wouldn't have a leg to stand on in a court of law. But I am not a law student or a lawyer. He is studying law currently and has an internship at a legal firm. What do I do about this? Do I need to prepare myself for a lawsuit or is it not even worth worrying about? Wow, the nerve of that guy. First of all, they break up every time. Why propose? Honestly, why not just face the fact that you're not a match? Just move on, dude. You're 19 years old. But trying to trap her in a public proposal? Come on, dude. You're better than that. I would hope you're better than that. We're gonna take a look at the top legal advice from the community and then a really short update that I think is gonna make you laugh. So Axel 2 says, you can't sue someone for the cost of an engagement ring they didn't accept. Had you said yes initially and then privately said no like he'd suggested, he may have a semblance of a case, but you didn't. You are not on the hook because he can't read a room or understand your perspective on the relationship. Block him, ignore him, and go live your life without him. It sounds like it's much better without him in it. And that's your answer. If you ever get proposed to in public and you don't want to say yes, then just say no flat out or walk away. Don't say yes and then go back. That's something good to know. Anyways, let's take a look at that quick update. His mother has reached out to me apologizing for her son's actions. She has said that nothing will come of this and that she raised an idiot. Alright. Well, the jury's in and mom says she raised an idiot. That's probably the best way to end this case. Alright, well on that point, let's move on to the third and final post. This one's from user Throw Me in a Lake 123. A few weeks ago, my father and stepmother were taken in a car accident. They had been married for 7 years and my stepmother had a daughter from a previous marriage who is 8 years old. I love her unconditionally as if she were my own sister and I would fight tooth and nail to keep her safe. She has no immediate family other than her father in the area, so he's going to receive full custody of her. The guy is a freaking butthole. The reason my stepmother left him is because he was abusive, which was never reported to the police, but I know several people who have witnessed it firsthand, so it absolutely 100% happened. And the reason he was abusive was because my stepsister was born and he didn't want a child. As a result, he has never given an S about her, never asked to see her, and has never wanted anything to do with her until now. I was at home with my stepsister a few days ago and he knocked on the door. I opened it and we had a really ugly conversation about what was going to happen to my stepsister now that her mother and my father were gone. I told him that if he did end up having custody, I would want to be seeing her as often as possible as I consider her my family. He told me verbatim, "That's not gonna happen, son. I don't want my daughter spending time with a half-caste blood." He's referring to the fact that my father is mixed race and that I am too as a result. I slammed the door. I was absolutely livid, which brings me to this post. So basically, I have a few questions. First, can anything be done to stop him having custody? There are no police reports about his abuse and his criminal record is clean by all the research I have completed. Second, at the very least, could I contend in a court that I have visiting rights to her? I'm not actually related to her, so I'm not sure what the standing is here. Third, if it's not possible to force allowed visits, is there any way I can adopt my sister? I have an office job that pays well, so financial security wouldn't be a problem. I have an apartment of my own, and I would be 100% willing to be her full-time guardian. Also, I want to make it absolutely clear that my sister does not want to live with her dad, and she says she wants to live with me. Thank you so much to anyone who responds to this. I'm at my wit's end, and I will do literally anything to keep my sister close to me, and I don't care about the cost. I'm not going to comment much on this one because we have an update. So first, we're going to take a look at the advice OP was given, and then we're going to move on to the update to see what happened. So Seashore Duck says, you need to see if he has met the legal terms of abandonment. You need a family lawyer pronto. Short and to the point, get a family lawyer basically. Then 130NE says, since your sister is under 18, she is entitled to Social CE benefits until she turns 18 at least. If your stepmom ever worked, your sister will be getting a monthly or bi-weekly benefits check, which I am sure her father is aware of and likely is a significant amount of money over the next 8 years. Wow, if that truly is the endgame of the dad, what a scumbag. And finally, HR Torres 82 says, I went through a similar situation when I was your age and did get full custody of my little sister. Please call a family law lawyer and they can help you navigate this. Don't hand over your sister to her dad, as he might be able to take her legally from you since the previous parenting plan wouldn't protect that from happening. Ask the lawyer about filing an emergency temporary parenting plan so you can have custody of your sister until this is all sorted out. Make sure your sister's school knows what's going on and the school paperwork does not allow her dad to take her out of school. Also, call your local court and ask about legal aid services in your area, as some attorneys will take a case like this pro bono, so you won't have to pay anything. Good luck. And now let's move on to the update. So, after one of the most stressful months of my life, I can happily tell you all that I got custody of my sister. I did as many of you suggested and got a family lawyer who was one of the most kind and helpful people I've ever met in my life. I told her the circumstances of my stepmom and dad's accident through tears and sobbing, and then told me she'd do everything she possibly could to help me. After my stepsister's bio dad was informed that I would be trying to get full custody, he basically folded within hours. The lawyer told me that it wouldn't have mattered anyway though. She said that because he hadn't visited her for such an extended period of time that it was considered abandonment in the eyes of the law, and the likelihood of him specifically getting custody was unlikely because of this. After her bio dad said he didn't want my stepsister, I then spent weeks and weeks filing out the right papers and seeing the right people. I've never signed so many things in my entire life. Because my stepsister had no biological family other than her butthead dad, I was given custody on a silver platter according to my lawyer. Her bio dad didn't ask for visitation rights, and it appears he didn't even care in the first place. He just wanted my stepsister for no reason other than to further upset me. Yesterday, I signed the last piece of paper that confirmed that I had 100% custody of my stepsister. After I signed, we both cried and cried for hours. We're both working on grieving her mom and my dad, and as I write this, she's asleep next to me with her head on my shoulder. The past 2 months have hands down been the worst of my entire life. I consider meeting my stepsister the best that's ever happened to me, and adopting her is the single best decision I've ever made. These events have made me realize that family isn't just DNA based, it's actionable investments in the life of someone you love. Thank you so much to all of the people who helped me in my first thread. I owe all of you for the rest of your lives. Once I turn 21, if any of y'all are in the Aberdeen area, drinks are on me. I hope you all lead wonderful lives. Give your loved ones a big hug for me. And that's the best way this post could have ended. I'm very happy for OP. He's got his family unit, even though that's not a DNA related sister, it's still his sister, and that's what counts. He's gonna take care of her, and they love each other, and that's great. And now the next adventures begin for OP and his sister. Alright guys, well, we've reached the end of the video, and like always, I'm gonna invite you to click like if you liked it. If you didn't, it's fine. You can always give me feedback in the comments. And of course, if you haven't subscribed, why wait? Just click subscribe and become a part of this community. And also, I'm going to invite you to join the Lost Genre subreddit. I'm gonna leave a link in the description. And having said that, I'll see you guys on the next video.